This is Photoshop tutorial number 5. So I want you to go ahead and open the image called Mask 1. I've already got it open, this is it here. Once you've got this one open, I'm going to show you now how to make those adjustments that we learnt in the first few tutorials, but how to do them to select certain parts of the image and do it only to those parts of the image. So one way to make a selection is to use this tool here. You've either got the rectangular tool, or if you hold on it, if you click and hold on that button, then you've got other options here, which is circle and single row. So for this particular image, let's start with a rectangle, and say we just make a selection of the sky like that. Rectangle of the sky. Now if we come down here like where we did before and make an adjustment layer and go, say we want to bring out the vibrance of the sky. So now when we change that vibrance tab, we're only changing the vibrance of that rectangle that we made, which happens to be the sky. So you can see now the changes, very slight, might make it a bit more obvious. Let's do saturation just for the sake of it. So you can see now how those changes, they look quite unnatural, but I just want you to be able to see the difference, have been only made to the sky. The next thing I want you to pay attention to is this square here. So in the first one of these other images we've looked at, when we made adjustments, you'll remember there was just a white square that came up. What that means is that those adjustments that were made there have been applied to the whole image. The white square means the whole image has that adjustment made to it. Whereas this new image, where we've got part black and only part white. So what it's telling us is the white part is the part where the image has been altered, and the black part is masked out, or the part, it's called a mask, a layer mask, and it's saying that that part of the layer has been masked out. What we can do is, if we hold the control button and click on that layer, you'll see, if I hold the control button, you'll see that that dotted square comes up next to my hand, cursor. So that's saying if I click on that layer, when I hold the control button, it'll bring back that rectangle. So now that's just an easy way to save that same selection if we want to use it later. So say that we're done editing the sky, now we want to edit the bottom part of the image. We could either make a new rectangle and try and line it up perfectly, or we could press Shift Control I, and what that does is just switch the it'll flip to the opposite part of the image that has been selected. So say we had originally just selected a circle. If we went Shift Control I, it would change. So instead of having that circle selected, it's now the rest of the image that's selected. So Shift Control I, Shift Control I. So remember, if I want to get that rectangle back, I hold the control button, I click on the mask, I press Shift Control I, and now I've got the other part of the image selected. So let's brighten up that part of the image. So we add an adjustments layer and we make a brightness layer. And now we can see it looks quite unnatural, but we've gotten that foreground brightened up to the point where we want it to look. So now what we can do is, the useful part about having this layer mask with the black and white on it is we can actually use the paintbrush to paint on that layer to choose what part of that layer stays black and white. So remember, white means that the adjustment has been made to that part of the image, and black means the adjustment has not been made. So if we look at the mask and we've got the white part here at the bottom of the image, it's saying that that bottom part of the image has been brightened up. So if there's parts of the image that we don't want to have been brightened up, that we need to paint it using the black paintbrush. If you look up here, so make sure the black paintbrush is selected, and then now if I paint on that image, what I'm doing is essentially saying that I don't want that part of the image to be affected by the changes that I've made. So I might want to create an effect where I've just sort of done something like that. So now you'll see over here on my mask, instead of having that rectangle shape, I've got this shape here that I've painted on. So now when I turn that layer on and off, you can see I've essentially just brightened up that foreground, creates a bit of a leading lines towards the sun. Now that sky from the first layer, it's too saturated, it's annoying me. So I'm just going to turn that saturation down a bit. So I want you to edit the image looking like this. And then once you're done, export as. Remember JPEG, we want the size to be 1200. Export all. And this one you will call mask 1 export. And you're done.